You sit there in your shirt and tie, boldly dictating. A crooked smile while you fed us lies. You didn't trust your own persuading. You sought to slay and to keep at bay the few good men that warned. Well, the dawn is nigh, look to the sky, beware of an England scorned. Father, I, the riddle I die, for the riddle I. You were bought with coin and you played your part and you'll live to rue the day. You smite the ways of our hallowed land and ignore the plight of our people, while you grease the stranger's outstretched hand and shout that all are equal. There'll be bitter cries for your deeds and lies when weird sounds the horn. And the Norns will glide through English sky and you'll reap an England scorned. Father, I, the riddle I die, Father, riddle I. You were bought with coin and you played your part and you'll live to rue the day. To me, Father, of the riddle I die, hark to the sounded ho. When freedom cries, fill English skies, you'll wish you'd never been born. Father, I, the riddle I die, Father, riddle I. You were bought with coin and you played your part and you'll live to rue the day. To me, Father, of the riddle I die, hark to the sounded horn. When freedom cries, fill English skies, you'll wish you'd never been born.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I hope you enjoyed that for our first little tune of the evening. I will find you another one because I'm going to be doing some other bits and pieces tonight, but I've got to find out where they all are because I was using it in a different way. We've got a number of things that was out today, but there is one that I really want to share with you. Where's it gone? I will find it in 2 seconds. This is excellent. Let me just have a quick look. Can you see me and hear me again? There's too much on my laptop for various reasons that I was doing last night, and it plays up. So hopefully I'm back. Give me a 5x5 if you can see and hear me. I'm not going to be on here that long because I'm feeling quite knackered after lorries driving past in all night and being a few. I was only about a minute away from the actual studio, so it's good in some ways, but not in others. But just to let you, I mean, it cost just to do that interview on Mike Graham's show. It's cost us, right? 100. I've totaled it at about 300 quid, 150 quid in petrol. Then you had to pay for a room. Then you had to pay for the meal. Then you had to pay for the parking. I had to pay 36 quid to go in and out of London. I had to pay for the parking in the studio. Right. So when when we do the seminars, what I'm saying to people is, if I get X amount of money from the seminars, and it's cost us 300 or 400 quid to get there, we're hoping to get a bit more because we put it in, and it builds it up. So when we do things like this, I didn't get paid for today. We couldn't do donations. The only person, and let me tell you something, his studio looks, I thought it was funny. His studio actually looked like my front room. Right. And what was really funny, uh, I don't know how much Mike Graham is paying, but that's probably costing him about £100,000 a year to employ people, to do this, to do that, and to employ someone, because someone sits in the background doing all the audio, the visual, etc. Right, and they set up a studio there. And then you've got the rental cost of that. So it's at least costing him 100 grand a year. And he gets views and money from the videos. So what's really important, and I'm going to try and show you this. Hopefully I will show it to you now. Right. Let me go and see if I can find it. There's 2 videos I want to share tonight. But he gets a lot of money out of that. Yeah, the screen's gone blank. It should be all right now, though. Let me go back and find where this is. Mike Graham show. The Mike Graham show. The Mike and Graham show. That one is Mike show, the home of England for the English. There's lots of things. I'm getting some really good stuff coming out. Let me see if I can find it again. And there was one that was sent me today, which was, I can't find it. Where's it gone? Charlotte, help me out with this one. There's a particular image. Mike Graham, the home of common sense. All right, here it is. You haven't seen? Is there anyone who hasn't seen it and wants me to run it again? I hate watching myself back, but I can put it on there for everyone to watch. Does anyone want to see this again? So it's Mike Graham Club. The feedback is phenomenal, right? Lots of people are coming back to me, but the more you get this particular clip out, and I'm going to send it out there now. I've asked people to send it out. Don't forget, you've only got 20 minutes. I think it was a 25-minute interview. he see me in person. I expressed to him, because he's really and truthfully, I think he believes he's Scottish, and therefore he thinks British is the answer, right? A proper discussion with him on the union, I know he will think like us. He is a conservative, even if he believes he's a Scot, he's a conservative Scot. And if England was to be independent, and indeed Scotland, people would soon get fed up with socialism. The Labour Party in particular, Jeremy Corbyn, who I personally asked with someone else at an event in Colchester, personally spoke to Jeremy Corbyn about English independence, and he said never. We want England regionalised. And he said, if England would, they said, not just Jeremy Corbyn, but the Labour Party have also said it, you can go and research this on Google, that if England ever become independent, the Labour Party would never be in power again. So there is a vested interest not to allow it to happen, right? Because England is a natural conservative nation, just to make sure. How many people have said they want to see it? Do you want me to run it? I watched it 3 times. Try boost the numbers of watchers. Yes, please. Gardens, Holly England, yes, please. I've not been in from work. Right. I will play it. So again, I'm going to send a link out. We need to send this. People need to go on it and view it. Click on the actual link. I've just put it in the chat. And people need to click on that and put positive comments on there. Say, have a long form conversation with Graham Moore about England, about the situation, and about ways in which we can change. We can restore England and restore the English Constitution. So what I'm going to do now, hopefully, if I can find it on there, is bring on the comments on here are fantastic. So I'm going to turn the sound up. Like I say, I don't like doing this because I don't like watching myself back. You'll have to tell me if you can hear this or not. And again, there's a caption on this, which is the Constitution is the solution. And here it is.
Let's say a very good morning to Graham Moore. Graham, nice to see you.
Good morning.
Happy St. George's Day.
And you.
Good to see you. I mean, I don't feel quite so bad now because I thought, I said to Pooch this morning, I've got a Union Jack tie or a Union flag tie, but I haven't got a St. George's tie. But I see you're not wearing one either, so that's all right then.
I have got one.
Have you?
Yeah. And just to let you know, that hasn't got the Welsh flag on it. So
is it not sort of buried in the background somewhere? Isn't that the way it goes? Because it's like a sort of I mean, there's no Welsh dragon, but there's a kind of, isn't there a red line or something?
As far as I'm aware, the actual Welsh flag only came about in 1947.
Oh, yeah.
But the original English flag is actually a dragon, or some people call it a whiffin. There's a 2-legged dragon and there's a 4-legged dragon. But just to make sure people are clear on this, the very first patron saint was St. Edmund.
Okay.
Right. So, and again, he was killed by the Vikings for, I should say, because he would not renounce his Christian faith. So he's the patron saint of the English, and England are very lucky to have 2 patron saints.
Yes. What do you make of? So I don't know where Edmund was from. Was he from England? Because one of the things that I'm actually going to have a rant about in a little while later after you've gone. Is these sort of lefties who come out every year and go, well, of course he wasn't really English, you know. George was Turkish. He never set foot in England, you know. And they come out as if that makes a difference. I mean, I don't think it does, to be honest. But I mean, what do you make of those sort of people who poo-poo the St. George kind of myth, if you like?
Right. So there's 2 elements to that. One is that St. Edmund is from Anglia, or what we now call East Anglia. Right. Particularly from Suffolk.
Okay.
So he, if you want to put it this way, he's a full Comanche Englishman. Right. St. George technically was a Roman. Right. And part of that myth of St. George, which I am not negative about, right? So I'm not negative about because it's still about England.
Yeah, right.
But again, I always refer back to, yes, he was Roman. Some say he was Greek. Some say he was a Palestinian. But the slaying of the dragon often is referred to the slaying of the English and the English dragon. So people need to understand there is an original English flag that we used to take into battle.
Right.
But there's many things.
And what sort of year are we talking about there that we used to take into battle? Are we talking about the Crusaders and that kind of thing?
It was prior to the Crusades.
Right.
So if you're looking at someone, so for example, Wessex, if you're looking at King Alfred, etc., you're talking about a flag that the English in this country in the year 800, for example, recognised as, and our enemies recognised as, the English.
Yeah.
Whereas the St George's Cross, if I remember rightly, didn't come about, I think, until the 14th century.
Okay.
Right. So there's a big space of that. But I always say to people, we are such a special nation, and England is a nation. And we get two saints.
Right. Indeed. So how did the connection get made between George, if he was indeed whatever he was, whether Palestinian or Turkish or Greek or Roman, how did he get adopted by England then?
He was, I wouldn't say adopted, he was more forced upon us by the Roman Catholic Church. Right. So when you realise that he was actually a Roman Catholic, whereas Englishness is, and especially after Reformation, we were Protestant.
Yeah.
So there's a rule, a law as a nation. We will not be governed by anybody else.
Right.
We have always been rebellious, right? We are a rebellious people in England, right? So it was more forced upon us by the Roman Catholic Church, not Orthodox Christians, because they have saints, but they would respect, the Orthodox Christians respect St Edmund because he never renounced his faith or Jesus Christ.
Right.
That's where all of that comes from. But again, it's all about celebrating England. So as an English Constitution Society, what we talk about is what is England delivered to the world. So you've had some excellent conversations this morning about AI, right? So who was it that invented the first computer? Well, it was first invented by Charles Babbage, an Englishman, in 1832.
Wow.
And it was a mechanical device. And then you had an analytical device that he also created. So it was analysing as well as just being a mechanical calculator. Then you had Tim Berners-Lee.
Yeah,
right?
the internet guy.
He was English.
Yeah.
Right. Again,
I think he's still around, isn't he?
Yeah, no, he is.
Yeah.
But neither of these people patented their inventions. They deliberately gave them to the world.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd be a very wealthy nation.
Yeah.
And then from that stemmed computers as today. You wouldn't be doing, for example, this type of show on the internet if it wasn't for them two primary inventions, and they come from England.
Yes.
And the English.
Yeah.
So we've also got a set of laws, what's known as the common law. And the common law and our constitutional statutes, which give us rights against the state, came from England. We exported that to the United States of America with their constitution. We exported the English language with that. And people must understand that we are being attacked. And when I say we are being attacked, I mean the English common law. The group of people that absolutely will not talk about England, don't like England, don't want anything to do with England whatsoever, are, in this country especially, but other countries, what we describe as the Uniparty.
Yeah.
And part of that attack is on the common law jurisdiction, right? So one of our greatest judges, for example, I could name him, he was the framer and drafter of the English Bill of Rights, right? And his name was Lord John Somers. There was another guy called Lord Chief Justice Holt, right? And when you explain that to people, they say, well, who are they? But if I was to say to you, name me a framer or drafter of the Declaration of Independence in America, and the people that put in place their constitution, people would immediately say George Washington.
Yeah.
Right? So the education and of how great England is and what we've done for the world is removed from the curriculum. By the way, this was exceptional in terms of the way they did it in the early 1970s, because we went into the EEC, now called the European Union, unconstitutionally, because it was against the English Bill of Rights. Right? So there, in the English Bill of Rights, there is a supremacy clause that no one can govern us. And it was unconstitutional to do that. So when you start talking about laws and England, I'll give you another great example. If I said to you, who stopped slavery? What would you say?
I would say we did.
What's we?
We, as in England.
Right. So you've got that right. It was the English, not the British.
Yes.
Right. And the reason for that
Well, Britain's a relatively new concept, isn't it? I mean, my parents are both from Scotland, so I've got kind of an interest in, I mean, I actually, strangely, for somebody who sits here and talks about England in the way that I do, I don't really feel English. I feel as though I'm British and Scottish, because I was born in London, but my parents are both Scottish.
Well, that is a fantastic way of looking at it, because what I'm going to say to you now is quite simple. If you feel Scottish, right? By the way, British is not because you've got Scottish parents and Irish grandmother.
Right.
It came from the British Nationality Act of 1948 and 1981.
Right.
What that act did, and it was brought in by Clement Attlee, a Fabian, right, after the Second World War, which we lost to the Soviets. Right, it was a strategic mistake to side with the Soviets.
Okay.
What they did was put that law into force, and by doing so, and here's the kicker, they removed part of the English Constitution in the Act of Settlement that states that you cannot have a position of authority, you can't be an MP, you can't be a mayor, can't be any of them things, unless you are born of English parents, right? Plural. That means people like Sadiq Khan could not be a mayor. Right. David Lammy.
Well, that would be good news.
Well, exactly. So getting back to what you've just said there about Scotland, if I was to say to you the Declaration of Arbroath, I believe, was in 1320, I'm not Scottish, right? So if it was in 1320, if I was to say to a Scotsman, right, the Declaration of Arbroath is British, I would get what we call a Glasgow kiss.
You would?
Right?
Yeah.
But yet when you talk about the Magna Carta, which is English, people want to call it British. Yeah. And I say it is English.
But this is the interesting thing, isn't it? Because as I say, Britain is a sort of construct, isn't it? Because it became the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, which is its official name, because it's a United Kingdom. It was made up of several kingdoms. It was not one country. Politically, yeah. Politically. So there isn't I mean, I used to have this argument when I was in Scotland, because I used to like winding the Scots up because I could. And I'd say, look, you don't have a country because you haven't got a passport. Yeah. But actually, that's not strictly true. You know, the only reason we've got a British passport is because that happens to be the way that we do it. But actually, it's not a nationality in a way, is it?
So that, again, is a correct statement. It only became a nationality because the British Parliament created it in 1948. Yeah. In the same way as Joseph Stalin created Soviet when he was the Commissar of Identity with the USSR. Right. So you have to understand that Soviet is the same meaning as British. Yeah. And I'll give you another example.
And that's why an awful lot of people in those satellite states who have since left the Soviet Union and have left Russia to be Russia have got their own identity, like Ukraine. And of course, there's a big argument that goes on between the Russians and the Ukrainians who say, well, actually, the Ukrainians say, well, actually, we were here first. You know, the Ukrainians were a country before Russia was ever a country.
So there's lots of arguments. So, but the geopolitics of this stems from ideologies that are forbidden in England, right? So if you was to read the Housby's Laws of England, without boring people, and I'll get to the point with this, 4th edition, volume 8, paragraph 1310, forbids under English law Marxism, communism and fascism in England. It forbids it in the civil service, and they must be purged. That's what the law book says, right? So the bit that I find fascinating is, why is there 141 Fabians elected to Parliament Why have we got a Fabian cabinet again? And why was a guy called Sir Jeremy Hayward, now deceased, the cabinet secretary when he was a Fabian executive, a committed Marxist? And then you start to see what they've done. They've taken over our institutions. And again, England and the English common law needs to be restored. Getting back to Scotland, Scotland is a Roman law jurisdiction. If you read the old law books, which I've got many of, I mean, hundreds of years old and originals, what it actually tells you is there is a political cancer, an ideological cancer, and it is Roman law jurisdiction, what's known as administrative law in England, and it was created and caused by the Acts of Union. Even A.V. Dicey changed his mind on the Union. So I'm not necessarily against 100% changing things by saying void the Acts of Union, because we would just go back to a common law union. So a brotherhood of nations, right? Even though we all take the mick out of each other, that's part of who we are. But the most important thing is there needs to be, you need to abolish and restore the English constitution, because once you do that, all of your problems will start to disappear. Immigration, for example, people don't realise that in 1690, there was a fantastic speech in Parliament where all of the problems we're talking about today were mentioned then, because they allowed people into the country, and it was nothing to do with race. It was to do with Europeans coming here and attacking our culture and our rights. So again, people really need to understand that the English constitution is the solution, right? And once you go back to it, that is not disrespecting Scotland. We've got members that are Scottish. They completely understand what we're saying. So there are ways of fixing the problem, but it is restoring the English
the Scots are very proud of their nation, as Scotland, as are many Welsh people. And England seems to be alone in kind of being slightly ashamed of itself. And I mean, I don't talk about me and you, obviously, because you're not, but there is this kind of creeping sense that, you know, we've got a story today, Ellesmere Port, only one example, there's probably loads of others. The council there is telling people they're not allowed to put St George's flags up because, you know, it could be difficult, you know, it might be offensive, you know, and it's like, what's wrong with you? You know, it's a flag. It's a proud flag. It's a flag of our nation. People should be allowed to put it up. You know, this idea that somehow we ought to be ashamed of our past, of our history, of our empire, and all of those things, you know, stems from many of the things that you're explaining today. In that, you know, we've allowed this to happen.
Again, what you've just said, it is portrayed, and it's partly to do with the education system, which has been indoctrinated. Kids are now indoctrinated, not educated. But go back to Granville Sharp. Granville Sharp was a white working class man from Durham who stopped slavery. The case in the common law was Stewart versus Somerset, 1772. And there is a phrase that was used, and that phrase was that English air is so pure, no slave, and I'm paraphrasing, no slave could breathe it. Let the black go free. Right? Why is that so important? Because Wilberforce was on our side. Wilberforce was aligned with Granville Sharp. Granville Sharp was a layperson and presented to the High Court, who had previously opined extrajudicially that slavery was lawful, and he changed them judges' minds, and they made that judgment. That's what stopped slavery. It took Wilberforce 20 consecutive years to pass the Abolition Act, right? And the reason it did was because that Parliament wanted to continue, right? And he pushed that through. So it was an Englishman that stopped slavery, but no one ever tells you that. There's a plaque in the African Museum in London to Granville Sharp. No one ever shows you that. And it says he's an Englishman. He's buried in Fulham, which is literally where I was born. So people need to understand you've got a lot to be proud of as being English, and don't let the Marxists indoctrinate your children into a belief system that English is bad. It isn't.
Yeah. Graham, great conversation.
Comment on Keir Starmer's post, please. I'm just going to put it on screen.
Which one?
This one.
St George's flag stands for unity over hatred and decency over division. Those are the values I will always fight for. Some try to hijack our flag to spread hate. I reject their plastic patriotism. Yeah, I mean, this is the post that we talked about earlier, where he manages to celebrate St George without actually mentioning England. There's no mention of England there.
They don't do England. If you look at the Fabian Society, they don't do England at all. There's no mention of England on the Fabian Society. Yeah. But just to let you know, on January the 13th, 2018, I and others arrested Sadiq Khan and Keir Starmer for subverting the English constitution. So we have been doing things. It went live all around the world that we arrested him. A citizen's arrest for subversion of the English constitution. This guy is a subversive. If you look into his history from Czechoslovakia when he went out there, you know, there's lots of information on, and I've got lots of history on the Fabians, but that is literally what I would. So in Old English, just to make sure this would be a new word for you. Right. In Old English, he would have been called a nithing, Nithinг.
Okay.
Right?
A nithing, okay.
And it is the worst possible insult an Englishman can call you back in the day.
Okay. A nithing, I quite like that. It's some word you can say. Nithing.
Yeah.
A nithing.
Now.
He's also a nothing, by the way. There you go. Yeah, Starmer is a nithing. Excellent. He's been called plenty of things on this show, I can tell you that. Graham, great to see you. Thank you so much for coming in, because really educational apart from anything else. We must have you back.
Yeah, no problem.
So good luck with the battle, I guess. We will continue to help you fight it. That's been an extraordinary show once again on St George's Day. Are we moving over to?
No, not today, no.
We're not moving over to UK Live. We're doing a technical upgrade, whatever that means. I don't know what it means. You can tell me anything. I mean, I just believe it. Do that to cheer everybody up, because the news is generally speaking so awful. And also, you might have noticed we've got a few herons knocking around. We've got Heron of the Day. Show Thursday, 20 Arbor Integra. Bollocking. And then Pooch, of course, is here producing it. Absolutely brilliant. My kids are going to be here, hopefully helping out. We'll have merchandise for you. You can have shirts, you can have hats.
That is the interview. We need that pushed out as much as we possibly can. So if anyone's out there, yes, Truth Finder got it out there. So hopefully everyone enjoyed that. And just to let you know, getting out and do these things costs money, right? So listen, I don't drive a Rolls Royce. I live in a shed. It's the tiniest cottage you've ever known in your life, right? This is my life. This is all I want to do. I'm not interested in a pound note, but we've got to be able to get out there and do it. So, and again, we've got a meeting coming up. I'm going to make sure I can show you this. Hopefully everyone's still hearing me. Let me have a quick look and see if I can find it. There were so many things I was going to show tonight. I've got to be honest with you, I'm tired though, right? But I'm hoping everyone can see that. I'm going to show you something else. I think if I hit that, no, you've got to restore. That's just to restore. Now, there's a couple of tweets that were sent out by Rupert Lowe today where he says, I am an Englishman and restore Britain means restore England, right? And there are people talking about restoring the English Constitution. They know how powerful the English Constitution is. Someone else said to me today that certain individuals that were barristers have started changing what they were saying, that we haven't got a constitution to we have got a constitution, because it's obvious, right? If we haven't got a constitution, how have we got a constitutional monarchy? Where did the courts come from? Where did Parliament come from if we haven't got a constitution? And then they say, but it's not a written constitution. So what are these books then, if it's not a written constitution? And then they say it's not codified. So what is Article 9 that you keep bringing up in court cases, trying to protect Parliament and its freedom of speech and free? No one can bring a case against proceedings of Parliament outside of Parliament, right? Which is Article 9 of the English Bill of Rights. Hang on a minute. Do you say Article 9? So is there an Article 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13? Does that mean it's codified? Wow. The fact that it's spread amongst a number of documents is because England is over 1,100 years old. We're one of the oldest nations in the world, and we will never, ever surrender. But there are people out there listening to us, and I just want to make sure everyone, I've got to try and kill this thing on this one. What else did I want to show you? Let me bring it up. I want to make sure I'm covering off what I'm covering off. There's another one I'm going to show you. Let's see if I can go and find it. Hopefully I'm not a black screen and you are still seeing me. I've got too much loaded on this computer and it won't like it until I can get up there. But let me show you one. So there's another guy I was live with. His name is Dean Lament, and we had a great conversation. Right, what I'm going to do is bring this back. He semi-apologised for having a British flag behind him after I educated him. Right, you might even see an English flag popping up on these shows soon. But that's what we need. It's no good having to go at people. You need to educate them, and you need to understand that people have been indoctrinated by a state education system. So what I want to do is show you this one. I'm going to send this out to you now. So we 100% need to massively push. And any help anyone can give the people in Great Yarmouth to get them elected. Anyone out there, if you're in that area, go and help them, right? But I just want to make sure I send this out to you. So the Mike Graham video, and there's some funny memes out there at the moment. It's the Mike and Graham show, right? And I've just been sitting there laughing at all these memes coming at me all day, literally giggling. But it's been wonderful. Mike Graham was a complete gentleman. I would love to sit down and have a slightly longer form and explain things so people understand what I'm talking about. This isn't an attack on Scotland, the Welsh, the Irish, and especially not the Northern Irish. They're more English than the English at the moment, and I can tell you why that is. Talk about all different things. But again, I just want to show you this one. I'm not going to show you all of it, obviously, because I'm going to be using a loo in a minute and potentially going to bed. This was released an hour ago. He hasn't got many subscribers. If you go and click on his channel, subscribe to him. He's a nice fella. We had a really good conversation. Let me see if I can bring it up there. I might have to pop my one off of the screen a second. Right, so you can see it on the screen there. There it is. Graham Moore and the English Constitution. There it is, right? And again, you can join him. You can go on there. You can hit the like button. Let me play that for you. So go on there. He's on 2.74k subscribers. Don't forget, we need...
Code of Laments, we've got Graham Moore. Graham, how are we doing?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me on.
No, it's been a long time coming. I think we've had a bit of back and forth. I know that I mentioned to Dino Bain that I was going to get you on at some point, and I think he name dropped us in his video as well. So thank you for this. Just for my audience of viewers and listeners who don't know who you are, Graham, give us a backstory.
So the backstory is for 30 years, I have studied the English Constitution. I've read about the Constitution. I am absolutely fascinated with English legal history. So I'm not a historian like David Starkey. I'm not a military historian that some people drill down into military. I'm only about legal history. And I find it fascinating, especially the common law, the Constitution, our charters, etc. I could show, and by the way, people, this is not a green screen, right? So all of my library is old books. Some of them are 300-400 year old originals, and that's what I do. Is I read that, and then you can get into the minds of our ancestors and who we are.
Now that leads me on to Magna Carta. Then the first thing I think of in English ancestry and legal law, I think of Magna Carta.
Yeah, most people do, but that's because people have been indoctrinated to believe that the Constitution and the common law comes from the Magna Carta. It doesn't. There was one really important event before that, which was the Charter of Liberties, and then an extension of that. So it's the extensions and the moving forward through time and progression of the Constitution that's really important. So the Magna Carta, for your audience, is extremely important, but it is only a single part of the English Constitution. And just to make sure everyone's aware of this, it is English. It is not Scottish, right? The Scots have got the Declaration of Albraith, which come in the 13th, or 13, and I'm not Scottish. I think it was 1320, right? If they call it their equivalent to the Magna Carta. But the Magna Carta, in effect, was adopted by the Dominions and Wales at the time, which was also a separate nation, because it didn't become part of England until 1536. And that was nothing to do with the English. It was the fact it was a half Welsh king, English king, Welsh king, right? And he was the one who brought Wales into if you want to, as a single kingdom, but it became a principality, right? And Ireland was a dominion of England. It was under a lordship. So I am going to, hopefully I've come back on the screen. This is well playing up because I've got so much in there. So there's another one that's just been done, which is that one as well. I'm going to paste that out there. See if you can go and subscribe to his channel. Leave a comment. And what you're doing is we're getting this out there more and more with these different people. More and more people are listening to England. More and more people are listening. We have an English constitution. And again, it is working. And people now, and this is crucially important, this Sunday at Chagford, Chagford in Devon, Chagford Jubilee Hall, 7 p.m. So this Sunday, 27th, I think it is 27th of April, is it? It's this Sunday at 7 p.m. Restore Britain, and again, I want to emphasise this to everyone, right? I need to emphasise this to everyone. Fuck it, I'm going to show you. Sorry for swearing. I was trying very desperately tonight not to swear at all. Do you think that's a fantastic situation there? I'm going to show you this. I think I need to show it to you. Two things that have been sent out today. Rupert Lowe's been sending loads of stuff out about England, right? If you go and look at his timeline, he is talking of England. Rupert Lowe, I am proud to be English. Always have been, always will be. On St. George's Day and every other day. Never let anyone tell you that pride in our England is shameful or something to hide. It is most definitely not. It is noble, it is natural, and it is necessary. Our compass and foundation must be our history. And that is a history to be proud of. So why is it that others can celebrate who they are with no guilt, no apologies, no fear? Bearing in mind it was the English that stopped slavery. And by the way, it was the English working class in the main that paid off the debt of the Abolition Act, because the Rothschilds loaned an extraordinary amount of money. And we only finished paying that in 2015. So every one of us in our lifetime has been paying off that debt. And yet we are being disrespected for paying off the slavers, and for Granville Sharp, who faced off a Chief Justice, a Lord Chief Justice, and an Attorney General, and a Solicitor General that had all opined that slavery was lawful, until an Englishman stood up, a layperson stood up and said, that is not the law of the land. This is. Right? So everyone needs to understand, these people have indoctrinated and lied to our children, and we need to reverse that. Again, Rupert Lowe said, I'm tired of it. We're all tired of it. So now is the time for English men and women to finally stand up for themselves, to stand up for our history, our culture, our people, our very special way of life, a high trust society. I said that ad-libbing. Our home. Because if we don't, and very soon, then we are all going to lose far more than a debate. We will lose everything. I think of how our country is going to look, feel, and be in 50 years, even 10 years, and it fills me with a looming dread. It's not too late to change it, but that point is already recklessly close. We must now fight for England. We wish to pass on to our children and grandchildren, because our patriotism is simply a sense of stewardship. That's how I feel. Right? What do I say on my seminars? Our ancestors passed us the eternal flame of freedom to pass on to the next generation, and we must not be that generation that fails in that mission. That's the England I want to pass on, but always remember, the English like to leave it late. We've done it before and we'll do it again. We will restore Britain, and we will restore England. And there is Rupert Lowe with a St. George's flag. And then I literally have put some Edmund in there, many, many people all steaming in and saying what they've got to say. In the next post, I believe it was, and I need to go and find it for you, he says, real feminists back mass deportations. Then he says, I've got to find this for you. There's so many things out there. He says there, and I think everyone should see that, I am proud to be English, right? And there is Carl D.H. This blessed plot, this earth, this realm, this England, Richard II, Act 2, Shakespeare, right? And the White Hart, remember this, was Richard II. So again, I just want everyone to understand what I'm saying. This is not about me. It isn't me that's doing this. It's you. We are a team. There is no I in team, right? We work together as a team. And just to make sure everyone gets this, to everyone out there at the moment celebrating St. George's Day, I'm going to sign off now, because I am knackered after driving all the way up there and all the way back again, going back into that shithole that Sadiq Khan and others, including Boris Johnson, have created over decades. We lost the Second World War to the Soviets. It's time to take it back. Russia took their country back from the Soviets, and we should take our country back from the British. That's it. I will say good night, God bless. I'm sure there is more I am supposed to be telling you tonight. but I am knackered. So I am going to say, don't forget what I believe. The Constitution is the solution. God bless everyone, especially on this day and St. Edmund's Day. And God bless all the Orthodox Christians and even the pagans, that we forgive what they did to St. Edmund.